Hello everyone, wishing you all a happy new day amidst the busy office life where each day passes with deadlines, meetings, and invisible pressures. A love story has quietly blossomed. This video tells the story of Alex and nhat. When they both entered the same office, their relationship didn't begin with love because that love already existed before. From moments of having to maintain distance from colleagues, to the way they silently cared for each other during work hours, to their journey of maintaining trust and happiness without letting work be affected, this is not just a story about office romance, but a journey of growth, choice, and how to love someone peacefully amidst the hustle and bustle of work. Stay until the end of the video to fully appreciate why this love story makes many people smile and believe more in the good things in the workplace. Every morning at the office started the same way. The elevator opened, people stepped in, neatly dressed, coffee in hand, their eyes still tinged with sleepiness. Rows of desks, computer screens lit up, the sound of typing mingled with the steady hum of the air conditioner, a familiar rhythm, seemingly devoid of emotion. But for Alex and nhat, this place was more than just a workplace. It was the space where their love continued to exist. Silently but firmly, in the office, there were emotions that weren't allowed to be expressed in words. They existed very subtly, very deeply, and only the two of them could feel them. Alex always entered the workday with a calm exterior. He was used to controlling his emotions, used to long meetings and the judgmental gazes of others. But whenever he saw nhat sitting at her desk, his inner world slowed down. It was something hard to name, a peace mixed with pride. He loved the way she was present, serious, focused, and gentle, in an understated way. Nhat was different. For her, hiding her love wasn't always easy. Some mornings, just seeing Alex walk into the office would make her heart skip a beat. She had to remind herself to keep her gaze distant enough, her smile restrained, because if she looked any longer than usual, she feared her emotions would spill out. Impossible to conceal. In the meeting room, when Alex spoke, nhat listened not only with her ears, but with her emotions. His voice was deep and steady, each word so familiar she could anticipate it. Sometimes their eyes met. It's just a brief moment, but enough for nhat to feel her heart tighten, a mixture of happiness and anxiety. She lowered her head, gripping her pen tightly, as if holding back her own feelings. There were moments when Alex had to turn away. It wasn't that he didn't want to look, but that looking for too long would make him forget where he was. He knew that in just one more second, that gaze would no longer be that of a colleague, but of a man in love. And that, in this place, was a boundary that couldn't be crossed. Accidental touches became the most dangerous thing. When their fingers touched on the documents, both of them froze. For nhat, it was a familiar, heart-wrenching feeling. Unique warmth she only felt from Alex. She pulled her hand away faster than necessary, as if afraid someone would see, but inwardly regretted that the moment ended too soon. Alex stood still for another moment. He wanted to hold on to that feeling longer, even if only in his memory. He told himself that tonight when he left the office, when there were no more eyes around, he would hold her hand tightly. That thought brought a faint smile to his face. A smile no one noticed, but enough to sustain him through the long afternoon ahead. Lunchtime was when nhat felt closest to Alex. Amidst the bustling chatter, she sensed his presence right beside her. When Alex naturally offered her food, nhat flinched slightly, then smiled again. That happiness was small, but it made her feel less alone in the crowded office. In the afternoon, when everyone else was engrossed in their work, Alex quietly watched nhat from afar. He watched her working with her head down, her shoulders gently swaying with each movement. Sometimes he wondered, among so many people out there, why her? And then he understood, love doesn't need a clear reason. It's simply the feeling of wanting to see the other person every day, wanting to know if she's tired, she's okay. nhat felt his gaze, even without turning around. She knew Alex was there. Just knowing that was enough to give her the strength to continue her work. Amidst the numbers, emails, and deadlines, their love didn't distract them, but quietly supported them both. In a place where every emotion had to be controlled, Alex and nhat learned to love each other with patience. They weren't hasty, they weren't ostentatious. Their love existed in very small moments, a glance, a gentle touch, a fleeting smile, but deep enough for both of them to believe that. Even though they had to hide it, that love was growing every day, when secrets are not longer secrets. And love is received with a smile. That moment came quietly, not as dramatic as Alex had feared. Late in the afternoon, when the office was less crowded, Alex stood beside nhat longer than usual. A colleague walked past, slowed down, and then smiled very gently. No questions, no scrutiny, just a glance that understood everything. The news spread faster than they expected, but without pressure. On the contrary, simple congratulations rang out. "You two are a perfect match. We've been guessing for a while." nhat was flustered, but her eyes shone with an unprecedented relief. Alex, for the first time, didn't need to avoid standing next to the woman he loved. In the familiar office, their love no longer needed to be held back. No need to hide, no need to fear. Only the warmth of being acknowledged remained, and a very real happiness stemming from sincerity. Since appointing nhat as director, Alex's mother didn't ask many questions, but gently showed her concern in her own unique way. Every time Alex came home, she would mention nhat, asking if she was getting used to the job and if she was tired. From balancing pressure and emotions, hearing his mother's questions, Alex felt a warmth in his heart. He said he saw her trying her best every day, even though she was still a little overwhelmed at times. This concern wasn't loud, but it was enough for nhat to feel that, behind Alex, there was always a family ready to welcome her with sincerity. After a long day at the office, where work always demands concentration and responsibility, Alex and nhat return home in a different role, the role of people building a family together. The door closes, and the outside world gradually quiets. Down, inside, there is Henry, their little son, babbling, his sounds incomplete, yet enough to fill the house with life. nhat holds Henry in her arms, sometimes still clumsy, but her eyes always shine with tenderness. Being a mother, a wife, and then an office worker, there are days she's so tired she just wants to sit down and be quiet. Alex understands that, doesn't ask many questions. He just quietly takes Henry from her arms, allowing her a few minutes to rest. In that moment, nhat clearly feels that she doesn't have to carry everything alone. When Henry is fast asleep, the house becomes quieter. Alex sits beside nhat without needing flowery words, just a very real presence. There were times when nhat would rest her head on his shoulder, sighing softly, as if releasing the pressure of a long day. Alex placed his hand on her shoulder, a familiar gesture, but enough to reassure her. Love, at this moment, was no longer about intense emotions, but about the feeling of being with the person who understood her best. Henry sometimes woke up in the middle of the night. Alex would get up first, walking slowly into their son's room. Watching him hold their child in his arms, nhat felt her heart soften. She understood that this love, the sharing, the patience, and the understanding had become the strongest emotional support for both of them. Not only to overcome work, but to grow together as parents. Amidst the worries of everyday life, Alex and nhat didn't need to prove anything to the world. Their happiness was present in the smallest moments. A simple meal, a sympathetic glance. In the steady breathing of Henry as he slept, their love wasn't boisterous, but it was deep enough to form the foundation for a peaceful family. And from that peaceful place, it gained the strength to step out into the wider world.